Good morning, everybody. This is Diamond Painting with Lisa B. Welcome back. Having a good day. Sun is shining. I'm sitting in my dining room table and the morning sun comes through, and so I do not need to use my light pad. This is my turkey I've been working on. I'm almost done. I had a few little doodads here and there down here by his feet. My husband said, this is a dirty painting. I'm like, why, dear? And he said, because it looks like that turkey is taking his girlfriend out in the pumpkin patch. He's like, hey, come here. Let me show you something. He has a dirty mind. I got this one off of Amazon. But that's not what we're going to do today. I'm almost done with it. I'm at that point where I'm like, ugh, I'm really sick of rounds. I know. It's ridiculous. This one I wanted to show you. Everybody, when I bought the hula can, wanted to know, this is the winter deer. And so far it's been perfect. I haven't had any issues. Everything's great. Oh, wait, before we go too much further. My name is Lisa B. This is a diamond painting crafting channel. If you are under the age of 18, this is not the channel for you. Thank you and bye-bye. If you have triggers to things about trauma, you might not want to watch today's program. Some people are sensitive to it. I know I'm an empath, and sometimes I can't watch people talking about sad things that happen because I totally get, sick to my stomach and it upsets me. I also have cats and dogs. Cats and one dog, excuse me. And you may hear them. What else? I might use some bad words. If you're easily offended, I'm really sorry. I know, my mama raised me better. I don't know what to tell you. The only thing I have to say about this, and it's not just Huacan, it's other diamond painters too. If you look right here, the K, and there's an X. And if you had sight issues, you might find this freaking annoying, just like, oh my gosh, why did they put those so close together? What is going on? Why did they do that? I don't know. And it's not just Huacan, it's other companies I've worked on. Yeah, they need to get their SHIT together. Okay. So, got my glasses on. I'm just gonna pick out my colors while I talk. The last time I did a WIP N CHAT, I was talking about when we were in the process of moving, or, I was like basically almost homeless for a while there. Maybe I should pull you in just a touch. So, whoa, can you see? Sorry about that. I don't want to start over. Sorry, I know. Everybody's probably dizzy. Kind of klutzy. I'll try to be careful. I'm sorry. On squares, by the way, I don't multi-place. I multi-place on rounds, but not squares, in case you're interested. So load up my pen. Hey, Cal, if you're watching, you're not the only one that collects goobers on the side. Kind of lazy about that. So, this is how I've been tackling this. I left it in the bags, and so what I do is, Usually when y'all are not here, I'll sort them all out, but it's kind of boring. I'm sure you don't want to watch that. But so I'm going to do color 169. I think it was Cal that had that cute little tray. I need to get one of those where they, you know, I think they're made for drawers to put pens in or something. Yeah, I need to get something like that. Cal was using that the other day. If you don't know Cal, what have you been doing with your life? I don't know. So while I'm sorting away, we can do a little chitty chatting. So where I left you off was I was in a very, very bad space. I will link that WIP N CHAT down below if you're interested. Because who isn't interested in my crazy life? Where to begin? All right, here's 169. And it's a symbol E. So, where we lived, they were building housing. They were building a new, whatchamacallit, housing development. And we kept driving by the signs, and it said 0 down with credit, and then your payments are blah, 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 blah. So Greg had went to work, and he said, I need you to go over there and check it out for me, because I have to work. You're home. You can do this. And so I made an appointment, and I went over there, and I talked to the guy. Of course, he's a salesman, you know, right off the bat. And I said to him, he told us how much the houses were and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I said, how much is, you know, if we don't do the down payment, how much is our mortgage going to be? I said to him, because if it's going to be over $1,500, $1,500, we can't do it. It's just not feasible for us. I'm not working, and I need a 1-story house because, you know, my back is not great. And he said, yeah, we could totally do that. Have your husband come in. So we made an appointment. Greg went in, and because of the summer that we had where we got behind on the bills, Greg's credit was in the toilet and I had no credit. I have credit. I mean, there's a credit score. I'm not totally at 0, but I'm not working. I owe on my school bills from years ago. I have a grant, or not a grant. I had a federal student loan that needs to be paid. Probably will never get paid off till I die. I mean, we pay it off. We pay on it, and then, you know, whatever. Anyway, that's besides the point. So, long story short, he ran Greg's credit, and he said, you know, you don't qualify. And my husband said, okay, how about a cosigner? So we made another appointment. Wax boogers. And my father-in-law had agreed to co-sign for us. So we went in and we're talking to him and we're talking to him and we're talking to him. And of course my anxiety is through the roof, and I'm nervous as a cat. I'm embarrassed because we're asking his parents to help us out. And his parents are really cool. They're like, you know, everybody needs a hand up every once in a while. So they went in and they started talking. And as it ended up, he tried to talk my father-in-law into buying the house for us, totally in his name. And then after a couple years, after Greg and I had been paying on it, that we would refinance and get it put in our name. But the house payment was outrageous. And because my father-in-law is works for the federal government, he's worked for them for quite some time. He does very well. And I don't know how this works, but if you make more money, your house payment is higher. I don't get it. But I guess the federal government says, well, you make this amount of money, so you should be able to spend this much amount on your mortgage. I don't know. This whole time, I'm like freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh. And my father-in-law stopped the meeting and he's like, so wait a minute. What you're telling me is that the house is going to be in my name, and then Greg, my son, will have to buy it from me in a couple of years. And the guy goes, yeah, that's how it's going to work. And my father-in-law's like, no. This is not what I want to do. I want to co-sign. And, sorry, I need a drink. And, my father-in-law says, this is not what I signed up for. And he said, I do not mind co-signing, but I cannot, in good faith, buy this house. And because he wants to retire, and it's their business. And so we were like, Dad, you know what? I'm sorry. Because then we started to worry that if we defaulted on our mortgage, it would come back on my father-in-law. And we were like, oh my gosh, we cannot do that. So then we decided the upstairs downstairs house was less expensive than the house that we had looked at. And again, the house payment with a horrible interest rate, which he said Greg could refinance in a couple of years, blah, 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 blah. After we made, a year's worth of mortgage payments, would still be $1,500 a month. That's not including electricity. That's not including gas. That's not including garbage disposal, food, that kind of stuff. And I just looked at my husband and I said to him, we cannot do this. We might be able to, even if we put $5,000 down and then made a mortgage payment of $1,500, we could not continue on this way. And the way my husband does very well, he's a land surveyor, but the way he does it, I mean, he'll work his butt off. And then, like, he won't have work for a couple weeks. So it's feast or famine with him, truly. So I said to Greg, we can't do this, And so we left, and my mother-in-law's like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, no. It would be bad if we put it in your name and then we defaulted on the mortgage. I mean, that would be horrible. And we had come to them. Anyway, I was embarrassed to begin with. And then, to have her apologize to me, I was like, oh my gosh, no, don't apologize to me. This is life. This is how it is. So we were after all that, we went out to dinner and it was just horrible. I couldn't hardly swallow my food, and neither could Greg. And we took our food home and we just said, shit, now what do we do? So my mother-in-law suggested we look at other houses that were less expensive, that weren't in a housing development, because one of the reasons why the mortgage payment was so much was because the homeowners association fee was $300 a month. They have no pool, they have no, no playgrounds, no nothing, but you're paying $300 a month. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you joking with me? I cannot. That's ridiculous. That doesn't go towards your mortgage. That goes to the homeowners association so they can drive by and tell you that your grass needs to be cut for $300 a month. I was like, no. So we started looking at houses. And my sister had suggested someone she knew, and that was a real estate agent, and so we had her looking, and we were looking, and we just could not come to a happy medium. And the thing is they told us that in 5 to 6 months, 4, 5, 6 months, Greg's credit would be better, and that we would be able to do whatever, and we could get a mortgage. But that didn't help us right now. What do we do right now? And in the meantime, we had called our current landlord and said to him, we cannot do 2 weeks. Our lease says we have 30 days to get out. And they wanted us out in 2 weeks. And we were like, it ain't happening. It is not happening. And so the real estate agent said to us, they can't do that to you, Lisa. If they try and kick you out after 2 weeks, refuse, because your lease says a month. And so finally we got a copy of the lease, and he was such a jerk about it. He sent it to us registered mail, and then he put a stamp on it like it was official, like it was a whatever, but it was just a seal from whatever company he worked for. It wasn't, he tried to trick us into thinking we were in big trouble and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm still freaking out. And when I'm freaking out, I can't eat. And to top it off, I'm in withdrawals. I'm feeling absolutely awful. We spent a couple weekends driving around. The first weekend we drove around looking for houses to buy. Then when we realized that wasn't going to be in the cards for us, we started looking for houses to rent. And because of the amount of animals we had, it was really difficult. And we had our real estate agent, whose name, by the way, is Rainbow. She's super cool. If you live in San Antonio and you need a real estate agent, get a hold of me and I'll give you her phone number. She's super awesome. Anyway, she was like, you guys are just going to have a heck of a time. The best thing for you to do is to try and find a house that's for rent by owner, because then they will work with you. As a real estate agent, I cannot go against this. I cannot, because of the laws, we cannot have 10 pets. You can only have 7. And we had 10, 3 over. So we're like, okay. And she's like, I'm really sorry. And we were like, okay. So that door closed. So my husband was on Zillow, ZILLOW.com, looking for places to rent. And the thing is that here in San Antonio, it's a seller's market now. It didn't used to be that way. We had lived in the same place for 7 years, and our rent went up $20. So what we were renting for $820 was now going for $1,000 and more. And the pet problem. You have to put X amount of dollars down per pet. And so he had given me a list of things, places to go look at. And on a Monday morning, I went up because my mother-in-law said she'd go with me. I went to my mother-in-law's, and I was feeling really bad. Like my skin was crawling, and I was sick to my stomach, and I couldn't eat, and I wasn't sleeping. I wake up with night terrors, that kind of stuff. So I was at my mother-in-law's, and I said, Mom, before we go out, I'm gonna just call these people and set up times to see the houses. And she said, okay, cool. So she was sitting there playing on her tablet. I don't know what she was doing. Probably playing solitaire, bingo, I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, so I started calling around, and they were either A, rented, or B, didn't take pets, or C. So every single listing my husband wanted me to go look at was we couldn't even see them because A, they were rented, or B, they didn't take pets, or I don't know. So I'm freaking out. So in the meantime, I called the spine doctor, and I said, I need the nurse to call me. Something is really wrong with me. I don't feel well. And my mother-in-law is like, yeah, you do not look like you feel well. And I said, I feel terrible. And so she said, okay. She's like, I'm really worried about you. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. And inside, I was like screaming because I'm like, ooh, I feel terrible. Everything's bad. Our life sucks. I can't find a place to live. We're going to be homeless. I'm freaking out. This is where my mind goes. I'm looking for a color. I'm sorry. So the doctor's office was on my way home anyway, so I decided to just stop in. So by this time, my voice was really high, like I was being choked, like, ay, 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 ay. So I stopped by the spine doctor's office, and I said, listen, something is wrong. There's something wrong with me. I feel terrible. I need to see the nurse. I think it's my medication. And this girl turns around and goes, well, if you have a medication issue, why didn't you go to the emergency room? What are you doing here? I said, I didn't OD. I'm not ODing. I said, I'm out of my meds and I feel terrible and I need to talk to a nurse. And the receptionist turns to me and she had eyes like a snake. And she said, ma'am, do you realize you owe us $245? And I'm like shaking like a leaf. I can barely breathe. And I said to her, I realize I have a balance on my account, but I really need to talk to a nurse. Well, I'm sorry. We can't make an appointment for you until you pay off your balance. Is it possible you can make your payment right now? Do you have a credit card on you? And I'm like shaking, choking. I probably should be lying down somewhere. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I had my bank card, but I only had like maybe 50, $60 on it. My husband had his card and it had all the money on it. And I go, I can't, and I'm stuttering and I'm like, thank you anyway. And I walk out and I go down to the car and I sit in the car and I'm just like, I'm a Christian, and I'm praying to God, and I'm going, God, what is going on? Why is this happening? Why? What are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to show me? I'm humble. Eh, I'm I'm humbling myself before you. I can't do this by myself. I help me. Send me an answer. So I drove home, and I called my husband, and I said the doctor's office wouldn't see me. Um all the houses that we wanted to look at are either rented or they don't take pets, and I don't know what to do. And he's like, "Okay, I'll talk to you when I get home. I'm working." And I'm like, I know you're working. I know, I get it." So finally, the doctor's office calls me, and it's the nurse, and she says, "What's going on?" And I said, "This." I told her my symptoms, and she's like, "Well, why aren't you taking your medication?" And I said, "Because the doctor did not renew it. She told me I did not need it, and that I would be, since I had the steroid shot, I wouldn't need it anymore." She goes, "Well, you're in withdrawals, ma'am." And I said, "Do you realize that I was at your office today and they refused to see me because I have a balance of $245? And she said, "Oh, huh, we don't have anything to do with it. Huh." And I'm like, "Okay, what do I do now?" And she's like, "Don't worry, I'll call in a prescription. You can pick it up tonight, you know, and once it gets back in your system, you'll feel better." I said, "Okay." So that's what they did. They called it in, and I went to Walmart to pick it up. And by this time, I'm a hot mess. I'm basically crying. I, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm suicidal. I feel terrible. And as a Christian, it's a, who am I to take my life? God gave me my life. But in your head is saying, you suck. Your life sucks. It'd be better if you just died, because then your husband would get your insurance money and he would be okay. And your kids could have all, whatever, whatever. And it would be fine if you just died. Then you can go and see your mom and dad again. And this is how your brain talks to you when you're depressed. And I'm really sorry. I know better than that. I know my husband would be devastated. It would ruin his life. I know my children would be devastated. I know I'm not going to say it's a deadly sin. I know it's wrong. It's not my place to take my life. That's not my decision to make. So internally, you're fighting with this, whatever you want to call it, a demon in your head or whatever. But I seriously was like, this is awful. So anyway, I went to the Walmart, I went to pick it up, and the pharmacist was the nicest lady that day to me. And I'll forever be grateful to her. She's like, "Do you want to sit down? I'm really sorry this happened to you. They know better than this, that you were in withdrawals. Um, Please, can I call somebody for you?" And I'm just like, "I just want to go home." And she's like, "It's going to get better. You're going to be okay." And I I felt somewhat better that way. So I took a pill right away. I went home. I took another one later on. And the next day, I took one and one at night. And I went back on my normal schedule. And yes, it did get better. The situation did not improve, but me feeling like I was freaking going out of my mind, did improve. I have no idea how long I've been babbling. I hope it's still recording. I haven't even been diamond painting. But I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm sorry if I upset anybody. I'm one of those people that would never hurt anybody ever. I'd hurt myself before I'd hurt you. You know what I mean? So, we will pick this up later. It gets better, I promise. It gets better. Okay? I love you guys. Be blessed. Have a great day.